Have you ever given somebody a Christmas gift or seen somebody get a Christmas gift that you knew what an like you were super excited to give this gift to them? They're going to be so pumped. They're going to love this. And they open the box, look at it, say, LG, thanks, and they throw it to the side.
What a letdown.
What a letdown. It's just like, wait a minute. How does that not mean more to you than that? That was the gift I was excited to give you. And I think that's got to be the way God sees us receiving Jesus' gift.
No doubt.
But we just kind of take it as a, cool, a nice sweater and throw it to the side on the pile and say, now send me some more money. Where are the toys at? You know, but from his perspective, it's got to be like, that's the only gift you needed. But it's so much bigger than that. And we just don't take the time to even try to take it in sometimes.
I get it.
So you're going to keep all those peanuts that Rachel gave you?
I think so. Yeah. Well, it's. I'm not giving them to you.
What's in them?
Before we start. I know that.
The checks that I got, it was for everybody.
That's what Renee said. Is she didn't want to hear all that munching.
The card says, "Merry Christmas to Ben and Garrett from Rachel, Brandon, and Ray." Doesn't say anything about Kenny. So. I'm kidding. No, it's for the podcast crew.
Enjoy the peanuts.
She texted me. Okay. Yeah.
So she texted you to make sure that I brought them.
She said that you gave her she gave you a gift.
Are you really going to do that right now?
I guess so.
Oh
yeah. Man,
oh, that doesn't have the pecans, does it?
Yes, it does.
Oh boy,
you don't like pecans?
No, that's what I'm saying.
You got
those
two
things
actually.
Are wonderful.
Well, I'll take all the pecans.
You got cinnamon.
No.
And what are those?
Pralines.
And then this is, we got chocolate peanuts.
Fruit cake and more Southern Supreme.
I'm getting to the maple peanuts now. I love maple and I love peanuts.
Oh, boy. Is that chocolate?
Mm-hmm. Chocolate peanut, maple peanuts. These won't last a show.
No.
I'm going to tell you.
No, that's right. No, they won't. You open them up right there. That's very good.
Also, they're
Thank you.
I'll tell you what,
Brandon and Rachel.
To me, pecans are wonderful. What'd you do with those pecans I gave you?
I still got them. I freeze them. So whenever somebody gets sick, I make a pie. Take it over there.
A pecan pie?
Yeah.
Have you got a good recipe? What kind of syrup you use?
I use Kara.
Okay, you pass.
What?
Just want to make sure because you use Karo syrup. That's what you got to use.
That's not, I don't know if that's syrup. But that's what my grandmother used.
That's what my grandmother used. That's why I was like, if you don't use that, don't even say you got pecan pie.
Didn't you? Yeah.
Look at that face.
But I use the brown. I don't use the white.
No, we use brown.
Okay.
That's what gives it that brown color.
Have you ever had it on biscuits too?
I have.
That's. I mean, it was cheap. It was.
That stuff is.
It's very cheap.
I used to think it was like molasses or something, but it's not molasses.
Near about is.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Appreciate y'all working with me and getting here.
Oh no,
I have one small Christmas wish would be that all the schools and all the organizations would just get on the same page when it comes to like delays and going to school, not going to school. I told Reese last night.
Good luck.
2-hour delays are like the worst of both worlds.
Really
are. Because if we can cancel school and just have a nice snow day, and I mean, we were going to do some tree decorating, something like that. I'll
have fun.
About praying for a cancellation. But no, I get a 2-hour delay. And Reese said, why don't you like those? I said, well, I'm basically going to drop y'all off, drop Christian off, come back and pick y'all up, and then go back and get Christian because carpool line takes an hour almost. So I said,
no, I agree with you. Now, I will say, married to a teacher, they love a 2-hour.
Oh, I bet.
Renee was loving that. Okay, we don't have, it's not a day to be made up.
Yeah.
Although they've come up with the remote days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Now, I remember when we first got married.
Yes.
And Wake County would wait till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and they call it out. And sometimes they waited too long.
Oh, yes.
And
waited too late.
So we would,
and I think
now they have gone completely the other direction.
Well, they got trouble for that.
But now if it's one flake, they cancel it.
Flake? You don't even know you got to have a flake.
I've seen it both ways. When I was
Yeah.
a kid, I remember one time they canceled school, and it ended up being
Oh, these haven't been touched. Might be melting together.
they canceled school one time, and it was about 45 and sunny all day long, beautiful day. And then I had other days where I remember when I was a senior in high school, they didn't let us go until there was about 2 or 3 inches on the ground, and you had a
Oh,
bunch of high
good.
school kids driving home in
I've done it.
in a mess. I mean, it took me 30, 35, 40 minutes to drive home, and I lived 10 minutes from school.
That was the 80s.
Yeah.
They would not. They would snow would have to be on the ground and piling up, and then
Yeah.
they'd say, "All right, go home."
Yeah.
And you're like, "I'm a 16-year-old kid about to drive a car on 401, and it's
Yeah.
already covered in snow."
Yeah.
I was scared to death.
I can't
That
imagine.
one time in Raleigh where they waited too late. It didn't snow too much, but it was just
was
a thick
icy.
icy.
Yeah.
School buses out till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Now, there were
Yeah.
2 of
That
those.
was one of the worst.
One was about
Yeah.
20 years ago.
I was in that one.
There was another one, though,
What was-
around 2013, 14-ish, because I remember I was working in Cary at the time, and by the time I left at about lunchtime.
That was the school one. The 2013, 14.
Okay.
2000 was right at about 5 o'clock. Nothing was really falling. All of a sudden it got bad. You had traffic. I had to get up to Wake Forest because I was taking my my master's exams. That was the worst. Man, I will never forget that.
Yeah.
I sat there. It took me 3 hours to get from here to Wake Forest.
There were stories in the 13 or 14, whatever year that was. There were stories that year of people being stranded, I mean, well into the night. And
Oh, yeah. School
and
buses were 3 o'clock in the morning, some of them.
it took me, it was about 20, 25 minutes to get to work then, and I left at 12 and got home at like 5.
Yeah.
It was nuts how long it took.
Well,
There were
remember-
times I wasn't sure if I was going to make it.
It don't take much for us to turn into snow apocalypse.
No.
With the old meme with the at walkers on Capitol Boulevard and all.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
I mean, we are. I was talking with a guy from Boston today, and he was laughing about how, man, you guys will cancel over one snowflake in a heartbeat. You better believe it.
Yeah. That one where it just thin layer of ice. I was at Crabtree getting an umbrella. And
You were buying an umbrella?
Yeah, and I couldn't. Yeah, it was fine. I was at the belt. When I came out, then it started getting slippery, and I had to. It was traffic jam in Glenwood. Then I tried Lake Bend Trail. Traffic jam there. Wade Avenue. Traffic jam there. Now I got on Hillsborough because I was going home at this time, and it was just I was just sliding back into the gutters. And then the crazy thing is, once I got to 401, now this is taking 3 hours right here.
Right.
Once I got to 401 and 70 where they split, this was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Went on home, but it was tough in Raleigh.
I think that's about where the line is.
Yeah,
Actually, I used to think it was right
People
over
were
my
running out of-
house.
people were running out of gas and just leaving their cars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, welcome to Raleighwood.
Yeah, no, that was crazy.
Raleighwood and its special snow abilities. We got to be laughing stock of the entire country when it comes to snow.
I mean, I think we've made national news at least for 2 snowstorms.
Oh yeah, and they're not even snowstorms if you
Yeah.
stop and think about it. 3 inches of snow,
Yeah,
Christmas.
that's right.
It was the ice. Boom.
I was worried about today when I woke up this morning because when I went to bed last night, 11:30, it was snowing,
Mhm.
and I was like, we'll see what we have in the morning. But I didn't see anything, and I left the house at 6. So
Yeah.
My truck was covered. And by the way, my truck passed inspection.
I heard.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
Them eBay parts are paying off. eBay parts in 2 months.
You didn't have to grade any palms off that thing
So,
for inspection, did you?
tell Nate he's got another 2 weeks to drive that truck. All right.
I might need it again.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to a special Snow Day and Peanuts edition.
Yes.
Another 167. No actual snow outside, but it doesn't keep us from changing our schedule.
But we had some snow delays and everything else. And thank you, Rachel and Brandon, for the
absolutely.
peanuts.
Rachel, appreciate it.
Wow. What
I
a
think
special
Rachel had a
gift.
hand in it. I think she's the one that brought them.
You think Brandon did that? Come
No,
on.
he's trying to
Come on, man.
Well, so Brandon, I gotta tell you what Ben said about you here before
Yes,
we hit
yeah,
the
this
red
is
button.
great, Brandon.
So we're Renee was over here. Did she drop you off, or she was just over here for?
No, she has stuff to do.
Okay, so Renee was
We
over
have
here.
to take a bunch of things around.
Yeah,
We-
Kenny's Renee was here.
Kenny's Renee was here, and we
one of
were
them was here. Oh, one of them's always here. So
Yeah.
like,
yeah. We were inviting her to join us on the show, and Ben said she could make history being the first female on the show. And he said, well, except for Brandon, he was on here one time. So didn't get that. We weren't recording yet when he said it, so I had to repeat it.
Yes, I said, well, man, I hate the recorder ain't working on that one. That was the best one I've had.
Yeah. So just because you send us presents, Brandon, and if you're not here, you are vulnerable and exposed to whatever Ben
We're gonna
decides
give
he
you
wants to
grief.
say. That's right.
That's right.
Well, good to see y'all. I got a bunch of notes for today. Y'all,
Right. Good.
I only took a couple from Sunday, but they were big ones. I really enjoyed you're right in what you said Sunday. Joseph doesn't get a whole lot of love and attention this time of year. And I don't know, I might have
Man,
a question on maybe why that might be, just speculating or whatever. I mean, what do you think the reason, if you were trying to tap into God's mind to take a guess at why we don't spend more time on Joseph, what do you think the reason would be?
I really don't know. Other than, okay, if you take a look at, because it's interesting, Matthew 1, the first 16 verses deal with the lineage of Joseph. Then all of a sudden it says who is the wife of Mary.
Right.
And then it was who gave birth to. So it doesn't say son of, his son was Jesus. No, it's Mary, then her son. And so I think it's one of, okay, maybe I'm not going to make much emphasis on Joseph because, well, and to be honest with you, once you get past Luke 2, you don't see Mary much. You see her every now and then, but you don't see her doing any major teachings or anything like that. And so, I've always wondered why is there not one single word recorded by Joseph, saying, "Whoa, what a dream."
Well, there's not even a whole lot of Joseph's story in general. I mean, he's just not. We don't know.
Righteous man, obedient. After Matthew 2,
he
disappears.
Could it be something especially in a patriarchal society at that time, that a whole lot of the emphasis on a person is who their daddy was?
Maybe.
And, God didn't want a spotlight on anybody but Jesus, and who Jesus' true father was.
That's kind of like a stepdaddy.
Yeah.
In a way. And I
In a
know that's not theological
Not the technical term.
But I mean, he was the earthly father, but no, I mean, you really don't see anything about him.
Yeah.
He's a pretty remarkable man, though, because I mean, the Bible describes him as righteous. We see that 2 times, as soon as he's told something, he obeys immediately. One is he marries Mary, observes her purity, and then names it Jesus. That's why I consider that one act. Then you go to Matthew chapter 2, and Herod's about to try to kill all the baby boys because he feels threatened because the Son has come. And so the angel warns him in a dream, Joseph, take your wife and your child, get down to Egypt.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He doesn't hem and haw. No, he doesn't. I know how hard it is to move. Man, that's difficult. Packing up all them cribs and everything else when the kids were little. But he goes right straight to Egypt and waits until Herod is dead. Another one comes into place. Now it's safe to go.
Yeah.
So to me, I see a man who is very obedient, a man who is in tune with the Holy Spirit to know what to do, when to not to do it. So I mean, to me, I admire the man because, but he is the strong, silent type. Doesn't say a word.
Yeah.
Wish he did.
Yeah. Is there, I was thinking about this too Sunday, that when you look at scripture, there's, depending on which book you're looking at, there's a chapter or two, maybe 3, 2 or 3, on the birth of Jesus in Matthew and Luke, especially Luke really gets into that more.
Yeah, Luke.
Nothing in Mark.
No.
And I don't think anything in John.
Well, John is actually predates the birth.
Yeah.
In the beginning
That's
was
true.
the Word,
Yeah.
and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So yeah, he goes back to creation.
Right.
Matthew and Luke are the only 2 that you're going to have some of the nativity type texts. Mark just starts out. There was a man named John. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark is like he hits the ground running.
And then other than Luke, I think, there's not really anything between the birth of Jesus and the ministry of Jesus.
Yeah,
Mm,
Luke has
Luke has the 12-year-old.
if you count going down to Egypt as part of the
Yeah.
nativity scene, then yeah, you're right. Because as soon as you get through with Matthew 2, you then go into the temptation.
Okay.
And then Luke 2, after Luke 2 ends, it ends with the chapter ends with him being 12 years old in the temple.
yeah.
And then Luke 3 jumps right into, again, grown up, ministry, John the Baptist, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's really the only place you're going to find much about the nativity scene. That's why I oftentimes say one of the hardest things as a pastor is thinking about, okay, how do you present this stuff, the Christmas story, all that's involved in a fresh way? Considering that, okay, let's say I'm 55. Let's just say I could remember every sermon I've ever heard since I was 6, since I've been in
Mhm.
there. 6 to 55 is 49 years. If you preach on it 4 Sundays a month, which Advent's 4 Sundays, that's 49 times 4. That's 360 some sermons I've heard on the Christmas story.
Mhm.
How do you present something fresh that everybody knows?
Yeah.
But now I will say this, it's amazing to me how many things that get added to the story. Bible never says that.
Mhm.
There's a ton
Yeah.
of those.
Oh yeah.
The 3 magi, there's nothing about them being kings.
Mhm.
That's not what the word magi
Yeah.
means. You know, that there were 3. We don't know that there were 3. The Bible never says there were 3. There were 3 gifts. And
Mhm.
so could it have been 3? Possibly. We know it was more than 1 because it's men or
Mhm.
magi, and then, at the same time, we know that it stirs the whole city up. So I think it might be more than 3.
Yeah.
To me, I'm in my mind, I picture 3 in a retinue of a slew of people.
Yeah.
You know, could it be he comes with a caravan? I don't know. We don't know, and so you build into that. How many times do you see magi at the nativity scene?
Oh yeah. Isn't that biblical?
But well, not necessarily,
Yeah.
because it's
That's
funny
about 2
how,
years later.
you look at it, Matthew says, "And when the wise men found the house,"
Uh-huh.
now I've seen people try to define that as, well, the manger was where she was born or where the baby was born. They just were able to now get in the house. Well, no, that's not necessarily. So, I think they're living in a residence now that all the population's gone,
Mhm.
and they are staying in Bethlehem for a while.
But
You know how old Jesus is when the wise men come? Anywhere from toddler, I would put him as a toddler.
Mhm.
Now that could be
But it's not as at birth.
no,
It
It's
is
not.
no.
I always thought it's 2 years old.
Yeah.
But
And that's one. And here's another one. What kind of animal did Mary ride into Bethlehem?
donkey, I suppose.
The Bible doesn't tell us that.
No, it doesn't.
It never says she's
Could have
riding
been
on a
a
donkey.
lamb.
And it could have been she was walking, and Joseph said, "You're gonna walk this thing out." I don't know. You know, so there's so many things that we
Kinda
either a
add to it
picture or
uh-huh.
you've seen growing up. So it is kind of interesting that something you've heard that much, if you've heard it 4 times a year at Christmas, you
But it makes a
think you'd
good
know it.
story.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a beautiful. It's seeing
Riding on a
God's
donkey is a good
sovereignty.
story.
I mean, I've enjoyed even the genealogy of Jesus in Matthew 1 tells the story of God's faithfulness of bringing that seed to fruition and everything. I mean, it has been amazing to me.
Well, here's a question I would like to know, and I don't know the answer to it, and the Bible don't seem to say is, why did they make Bethlehem their home?
Well, I mean, they only
You
do
know,
it for a little while.
yeah, 2 years. I'm just assuming
Give
2
it take a
years.
year or two.
Yeah. I know he was from there, but they were in
Work
that,
was good.
the border was good.
Work was
Yeah,
good. He had a lot of
yeah.
carpentry work to do there, and
Found out it's better in Egypt, though.
yeah, well, it was safer.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why they've born in a manger there, and now they're living in a little house there, unless it's just
Maybe
maybe
it's
there's
just
some
like
kinfolk that
yeah.
took them in or whatever.
Well, they're coming from,
Nazareth,
yeah.
and then they go back after
Yeah,
being in
I
Egypt.
just,
They do go back to Nazareth.
I mean, I can't I don't know why. I just accept it.
Well, maybe they just didn't want to make
But
that
like you
80-mile
say,
journey.
maybe there was good work.
Yeah, good work, or the 80-mile journey was hard enough the first time. It ain't like you can get in a car and drive it. Maybe that's part of it. Um,
And did John know, Jesus? I think he did. His
don't know.
cousin.
We
It
don't
doesn't
know.
really say,
Yeah, we don't know if they had
but
play dates when they were kids or not.
Yeah.
Really don't. Nothing tells us. All we know is in John 1:29, John sees Jesus and says, "Behold, the Lamb of God takes away the sins of the earth." How many times had he seen him before then? Not
I don't
sure.
know.
I'm sure.
Uh,
I would hope
I
he'd
would
seen his
think he
cousins.
would have.
I mean, they're cousins, but at the
I
same
I
time, that don't mean nothing.
I think Elizabeth, probably told him the story of his
Sure.
birth and, Mary's birth, Jesus' birth.
Yep.
So,
I
that's
kinda
just it's not it must not be important 'cause
Well,
it's not here.
no, and it's one of those things because we're human and we think about, oh, I wonder how many times the
Mm.
cousins got together and all that, and it is interesting to think about. But you're exactly right. In the end, it doesn't impact theology or his mission.
And on that, I'll have one more of these.
while he chomps,
I'll
I
have
had
another
Yeah,
while he chomps,
to
I have
the
a
birth.
question.
to the birth.
Yeah,
There you go. To cousins.
yeah. So one of the things that I was thinking about this week too with it is that biblically we know a ton about a pretty fair amount about Jesus' birth,
Okay.
and then we know uh, birth and death get by far, rightfully so, the most attention. His ministry is pretty much what fills up the Gospels.
Right.
So we have a gaping hole in Scripture between when he was a child and when his ministry
30
started.
years old.
So it's easy for me sometimes, and maybe others, to forget that it wasn't just like an instantaneous time warp that those 29 years in between or whatever happened.
Yeah.
So what happened during that time? Not so much in Jesus, what did Jesus do, but in that time frame when he comes, when the ministry starts, did the people know who he was at that time? I mean, we're not talking about a population the size of the United States or anything. This is a pretty tight knit area.
I mean, Bethlehem, maybe 1,000 people.
Yeah,
Nazareth's a whole lot less.
and then how far is it from Bethlehem to Jerusalem?
That's only about 5 miles. That's
Okay.
nowhere.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's a day trip, I reckon.
Yeah.
Right. So 30 years later, when Jesus starts his ministry, is there sometimes I kind of picture it, I guess, as this stranger shows up on the scene and starts preaching, but he wasn't necessarily a stranger. He had been, I mean, I know in Nazareth, he
Right.
obviously was
Well,
been an
they knew him because they even say, well, isn't it, where did he train?
Right.
Isn't this the son of Joseph the carpenter?
Did
I mean,
they
so
re-
they know of him. And, I mean, the first miracle would be the wedding at Cana of Galilee. So, there's some folks who knew him, or, it's kind of interesting how he did get started. I know Luke 4 tells us that he went into the synagogue, as was his habit of going to the synagogue. So evidently, I don't know if he went to the same synagogue or wherever he was at, he went there, and basically he stood up and read from the scroll of Isaiah that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me to present good news to the captive, to provide liberty to those that have been oppressed, to give sight to the blind, and rolls it up after he reads it and he says, "Today the scripture has been fulfilled." And so, that's pretty, okay, that's pretty alarming for folks to, wait a minute, who is this guy?
Yeah. Well, did they remember? I mean, I guess to us, 2,000 years later, the his birth itself, when you can make the argument that his birth was the first miracle,
Oh, yeah.
in a way, and
Sure.
or his conception was a miracle. But I mean, I'm sure there was some skepticism at that time that people didn't necessarily believe that she was really, a virgin, and that there was a lot of that.
Thing.
But did that story get circulated very much? Do we think do people 30 years later remember? Oh yeah, he's the one who was supposedly born of a virgin, or was that just
Yeah.
2 or 3 people that were close to
Well,
that
I
knew about
imagine.
it?
Go ahead.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead,
ask the
yes,
same
it's going
question.
right.
I think maybe, um, that wasn't well known that he was from a virgin birth.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think it was well known. I mean, that's not, but
It's
at
not
the
something
same
you put in the
time,
newspaper.
At the same time, it was well known. Again, think about a small town, Nazareth being 400 or 500 people. I doubt there wasn't too many people that didn't know. Have you heard about Mary? She
Yeah,
sure
I
is.
think that yeah.
She sure is showing, and I've heard Joseph don't know whose it is. So I know there was a lot of rumor going around. So she had shame, and everybody looking at her as, well, you can't believe you would do that. So, and I'm sure Joseph, as I said Sunday, had to have been hurt. How could you do this,
Sure.
Mary? At the same time, he was willing to say, "No, I'm gonna put her away silently. I'm not gonna embarrass her. I'm not gonna shame her." I mean, most men, and I think that's another check for Joseph. Most men would have reacted out of anger,
Mhm.
and that's you don't see that in Joseph,
Yeah.
and I love that about
Or at
him.
least that'd have hurt if there was,
Oh,
that's
yeah. I mean, come on, man.
I don't see it where he tried to explain it to people either.
Well, you don't have any
I don't have enough
recollection of that.
information.
Yeah, you don't, but you know there was people talking.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
had to be. But as far as him having to explain it or anything else, nah. I mean, only people I would think he may have to explain it to would be his parents, but I don't even know if he needed to do that.
Do you think the leadership there, because our and I can't quite recall where it's at in the Bible where the Pharisee says, "Our fathers are Abraham, Isaac, and Joseph."
Right.
Do you think that might have been a reference to who's your father? That's a far fetch, I know.
No, because I mean they considered him to be a Jew too.
Yeah, but who's his father?
Well, God, he was already. If you check that text, he's already claiming that God's his father.
I know, and they ain't like it,
And
right?
yeah, and that's when they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," you know. And he even goes
I
as
just
far as
wonder if the
saying,
Pharisees did a lot of research on him.
Mm. Well, you know what I find most shocking? Herod goes to the scribes and the Pharisees and he says, "Tell me where the Messiah is gonna be born."
Oh, yeah.
They give him the information. Now, a wicked king like Herod is asking where the Messiah is gonna be born. Wouldn't that kinda stir up some interest if you were a scribe and Pharisee? Yet they have no record of anybody making that 5-mile journey from Jerusalem down to Bethlehem to search for the Messiah. I mean, this is the one they've been waiting on, and
Well, the people have. I don't know about the
no, Israel has. I don't even know that the people, because here's the thing. I submit for your consideration
Mhm.
that if the whole city was stirred up, which that's what Matthew 2
Mhm.
says, the whole city was stirred up when these magi show up. I guarantee you they got to know something's up.
Mhm.
And if they didn't know something was up, if they read the newspaper about, I don't know, 3 weeks later, 3 days later, when Herod cleans house and does one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
most wicked acts ever, to be sure, they gotta be thinking the Messiah must have come, but nobody, you don't see anybody making any kinda effort to find him except 3 Gentiles or more or less, Gentiles from the East bearing gifts that go to the Messiah.
Well, that's what I'm maybe started to spark some of this thinking in my mind. This wasn't this was a big enough event that King Herod it got to Herod, and he was threatened by the birth of Jesus.
And scribes and Pharisees heard about it because he went and
Sure.
asked them.
So I guess if it was such a big event I don't know enough about the history to get these dates perfectly right, but let's say at 4 I think was he born in 4 BC?
Give or take.
Okay, so
7 to 4, usually 4.
okay, so if he's born 4 BC,
Mhm.
if it was a big enough event in 4 BC that a king had all the babies murdered to try to make sure they wiped him out, how is it that 30 years later, when now he's claiming to be the Son of God and everybody's questioning, especially the Pharisees, are saying, "Give us a sign, give us a sign, give us a sign." Had they forgotten that sign or did they never know about that sign? Because it was a big enough event in the beginning that it made some type of headlines if it made it to the king that he was trying to. Did they just forget? And I guess the second, somewhat related question is for a people who had been so eagerly awaiting the Messiah for all these years. I mean, we're still 2,000 years later waiting on his return
Right.
so eagerly. They didn't seem to really want one that bad.
No,
They didn't do a whole lot of homework on him. It doesn't seem like to see.
Yeah.
This was in motion 30 years ago.
They wanted the wrong Messiah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing of it is you're exactly right. Think about what they were thinking the Messiah was gonna be. And for the average Hebrew, average Israelite, wait a minute, this is just a little bitty baby.
Yeah.
Baby can't deliver. Baby's not gonna defeat Rome.
Right.
And if he does defeat Rome, how old is he gonna be? Am I gonna be around when he's gonna be here to take out Rome? If that's their mindset is he's gotta free us from Roman oppression. And the angel told Joseph, "No, he will save my people from their
Mhm.
sins,
Mhm.
not necessarily save them from political oppression."
But there was more than just one Messiah.
Claiming.
Claim, yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
A lot of
There
people
was
claim.
12 known after Jesus resurrected.
Okay.
In that time period, there were a lot of people
During his time period, or
just after the resurrection.
okay, yeah.
From
So
just a
everybody
little bit
was
of
claiming
just
to
a
be
little
the
bit of period.
Messiah,
Yeah.
and probably Jesus, and maybe some people thought the Messiah got killed in Bethlehem at the time.
But it's just like the enemy, though, to send a copy
Yes,
of the authentic. That's one of his MOs.
we see
When
that
God
often.
does something, the enemy's going to present something that's similar, but a fake. And that's why you got to know the truth, because he will deceive you.
I was opinion to that.
All right. I get.
I'll eat to that.
Thank you.
So shifting slightly, something else you said Sunday that I think both of these things that I circled, I think are your words, and they're closely related. Sometimes obeying God is not easy. Talk about Joseph obeying and how hard that must have been. And you also said who you obey shows who you trust. I just think that's a very simple, commonsensical thing to say when you say it that way.
But it's deep.
But it's very deep. And when you think about how many times we're faced with any decision, big, small, anything like that, and it's crystal clear what God would have us do. It's scriptural what God would have us do.
Yeah.
And how many times we choose what we want to do anyway, even though we know that's wrong. In that situation, we're choosing to obey something besides God.
Mhm.
And it's very basic. If me and a stranger on the street are sitting there telling Gabe, Christian, or Reese, do this, and I'm saying do the opposite, and they listen to them, that is as point blank telling me that they don't trust me as it can be. And why would you do that? Why would you? Why would you choose to ignore this, or to ignore the one who loves you,
Right.
to do something that a total stranger tells you to do? But that's what we do every single time we follow our own fleshly desires. And that kind of brings me to I didn't mean to tie that one together, but one of the things I've almost hit a stall in my reading at Romans 7. I've gotten to Romans 7 and just kind of dug my heels in there for a little bit, because I read it a couple weeks ago.
If Romans 7 is doing that, when do you get to the next chapter?
Well, I know, and I want to get to the
Good
next
gracious.
chapter. So I read Romans 7 once, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff in there that I want to dig deeper into, but it was late at night, and I'd been reading for a while. So we ain't gonna do it tonight, but I'll reread it later. And I've reread it several times and just been kind of marinating on it, I guess, for a little bit. But it can be an easy one to get lost in, because he keeps saying the same thing in 18 different directions. I do what I want to do, and I don't do what I want to do, and I believe what I do not do is what it's
What
just,
I won't.
yeah. But as I was reading through it the other day, I thought, it's I almost feel bad to keep bringing up golf analogies, but it's just like my golf swing.
Right.
I know what the correct way is, and I still do it the wrong way all the time. It's not because I want to do it the wrong way. It's because, despite my best efforts, a lot of times I do that.
Right.
And just tying that back to it can be so tough for me, for us, to not get frustrated with the sinful self that, won't go away. But it's at the same time, every time I'm choosing to obey myself instead of obeying God, that's Romans 7 in action. And every time I actually do, but the fact that I even acknowledge that God is the one I should be trusting, I just sometimes don't do it. That's where the frustration comes from. Just like I know I don't need to let my elbow get out in my downswing, but I still do it. And I guess so how do I prevent that? Well, in real life golf, I practice certain things. There's things you can do to practice that. There's things you can do in the gym to simulate those feelings, and drills you can do.
Right.
Just like in the spiritual sense, there's scripture, there's prayer, there's church, there's discipleship and brothers
There's
that you can
walking
lean
by
on,
the Spirit
and walking by the Spirit.
and not fulfilling the desires of the flesh.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's just a lot of, but you're right. Obeying God a lot of times is not easy, whether
No.
it's a little thing or a big thing.
And even in the think about your daily walk. I mean, when Jesus put some commands out there that are not necessarily, I mean, most people will read them and say, well, that's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Who can love their enemies? Who can forgive those who've trespassed against them, or
Mhm.
somebody that's hurt you so bad?
Yeah.
Come on now. To be sure, I should be able to, be mad at them or not forgive them. No, he says forgive, just as God has forgiven you in Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
He tells us that if you want to gain your life, lose it.
Mm-hmm.
He tells us that you must die to self daily.
Yeah.
These are not easy commands by
No.
no means.
Be
And in
therefore
fact, they're
perfect.
yeah. Well, I mean, I would say they're impossible commands,
Yeah.
except I got to have something that something that can do the impossible working in me. And that's one of the things that Mary says when, or the angel tells Mary is, well, how can this be? Is what Mary says. And the angel says, with God, all things are possible. Well, I've got to have that impossible doing God living in me if I'm going to carry that out. And that's the Holy Spirit. Walking by the Spirit then is less of me, more of him, less of me wanting my way, which that's what sin is. Sin is saying, God, I know what you told me, but you know what? I think my way is better. I'd rather have this than you. I mean, that's and I know that sounds, it puts it kind of on a level of, whoa, do you really go that far? Yeah, that's really what it is. Because God's saying, I'm giving you the option, the best choice. And you're saying, God, I'm going to go this way. No peanut on that. I thought that
I
was
was
good.
saying that's well said. No, but I have wrestled with that. How can you be perfect?
Yeah.
And I have questioned those impossible things, and it's only through Christ. And remember when the person told Jesus, "Oh, great teacher, oh, good teacher." I'm not good.
Yeah, who
Only
you
the
calling
Father.
good?
But he was saying that out of the flesh, not out of the spirit. So I get what you're saying. It took me a long time to figure that out, though.
Yeah, like I said,
How can you do that?
who can love your enemies? Who can, turn the other cheek? I mean, there are some serious things that when you begin to really look at the commands and the teachings of Christ, they're not just philosophical things he's just throwing out there of, oh, that's sweet, turn the other cheek. No, that's what he's telling us that we should do.
I'm not sure if I can unpack this one all the way to anything that necessarily makes sense. But one of the things I've taken some comfort in lately, two things I've taken a lot of comfort in lately. But one has been that we talked a while back about God's goodness, his holiness, and his love and lovingness all kind of being mutually important and almost like a three-legged stool that you need all three of them to really paint the picture. And I've kind of thought about this almost like let's put me up against God just for a fun little exercise here. Let's just say that what I want, and he wants what's best for me.
Okay, yeah.
Well, he loves me too much to let me have the thing that I want that's not good for me. So no amount of begging, no amount of let's just say there's a prayer or something that I'm wanting that he knows isn't good for me, and I'm begging and begging and begging. He's not going to give me something that I'm asking for that he knows is going to be bad for me. If I decide, well, never mind, I don't need his blessing on this, I can do it myself. There's no way I'm ever going to overpower him and get that thing on my own, right? And no matter how good I think something is, I'm never going to have his goodness to truly know that. So sometimes just taking a little bit of peace in that, and that sometimes he's not giving me what I'm asking for, and it's not out of he's being stubborn and stingy and hard headed and all this kind of. It's just he's only going to. He cares. If he gets his way, he's only going to do what's good for me and what's right for me. Right? I'm going to mess that up plenty. But if he has his call, I'm not going to be able to change his definition of good because he's God and I'm not. Right? And I'm not going to be able to overpower him into doing what he thinks is bad,
right,
and or is not best,
or you're not ready for it,
or I'm not ready for it. Yeah, I mean, it's just
you haven't matured.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of wrestling with that because I like where you're going with it. It's a great thought process because I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, was there ever a time when the Lord says, all right, I'm gonna give you what you want? And I think there is, and I think it's scriptural that the children of Israel, all right, you've chased after this. I've called you back. I've called you back. I've called you back. All right, I'm going to give you what you really want, and then it happens.
Are they the same thing though? Maybe they are. I'm just wondering if it's something that I'm trying to think of an example, but I read with the children of Israel, they were chasing false idols, they were chasing other things. It was sin that they were desiring. What I'm saying is not necessarily a sin. It could be sin. Anytime you are wanting what you want over what God wants, that is in and of itself a sin. But if you may not necessarily think that the thing that you're praying for is sinful, you may be praying for it in a righteous way or for a righteous motivate, or there might be a righteous motive behind that. Not all of our desires are sinful. Some of our desires,
yeah.
Well, I mean, no, I think I'm saying that the right way because you can have godly desires, the
Yeah.
desires that
Yes.
God puts in your heart. It's just sometimes hard for us to know exactly what's of God and what's of our own making.
Or a good, better, best.
A good, better, best. Yeah, that's really what I'm talking about is a good, better, best.
Yeah.
Maybe what I'm
Yeah.
praying for is a better. It's just not best.
Yeah.
Right.
Has your best. Yeah.
So I think that's the distinguish. And maybe I'm not saying this right, but with Israelites, they weren't looking for good, better, or best. They were looking for bad, and he finally said, "Fine, you want bad, that bad? Go ahead, you can have it."
And that's what I was kind of. I think that's why I was wrestling with it so much.
Yeah, but if I'm praying for better, and he's not going to give me better if he has best in mind.
Yeah.
don't
The
think.
prime example that you have is Hezekiah. He was the most, I think, righteous king. Is that what
up there?
or the most righteous king of Israel? I always thought David had God's heart, but he was after a certain amount of time. I don't remember what it was, but he was. Isaiah told him he was going to die, but Hezekiah turned around, prayed, and God added Hezekiah. God told Isaiah to come back in there and tell him to give 15 more years. That's a good motive. That really is. But was that the best what God had? Because his son became the most, his son ruled the longest, 55 years. And his son also was the most evil king of Judea, maybe of all of them.
Mhm.
And his son started the decline in Judea. So God answered its prayer with what you're saying. Sometimes God gets you what you want, but it wasn't the best thing for for Hezekiah to live, because after he gave him 15 years, that's when his son, which ruled, was born.
Mhm.
Did
So
I say that right?
he wouldn't have been born if he hadn't gotten the 15 more years. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he was
Okay.
10 years old, I think, when he started to rule or something like that.
Well, I think it's one too of sometimes when we begin to think
you didn't
about
like that.
all right, so no,
I can't have one then.
well, I wanted to try the green label.
I can only have when you
I'm
have
gonna
one
mix
when
and
you
match. I want to try
Oh,
some green
oh, you gonna
label
do
with
'em?
some black.
Yeah, I think I might mix them too.
No, I think it's one when we really start to think about prayer is one of those things of, to me, it's always been kind of a not necessarily a mystery because we don't always know what is the good, better, best, or
Mhm.
what we're asking for. But that's where that walk again with the Lord helps us to know that okay, this is what the Lord wants, and coming to that grips of that. At the same times, if we did choose, and I think there's that. I remember seeing a play when we were in New York called If Then.
Hmm.
And what it was, okay, if I make this decision, then this is what happened. And it did a pretty good job of showing, okay, I made this decision 20 years down the road, this is what happened. Just from one small decision here, there, and everything else. It's terrible as far as morals. I wouldn't recommend it. The only reason we went to it is they offered like $10 tickets to Renee and I when we were in New York. I said, yeah.
What movie was it? I mean,
It was a Broadway play called If Then.
Oh.
And the girl that did the Frozen singing, I don't know her name, she was playing as the star. And so I was like, hey, she can sing.
So she became a star later.
Well, she was a star, but she came like the real superstar right after that.
Yeah.
And it won't cost a lot to play. That was terrible.
Well, the other thing that it again ties in a little bit with that is that I said there were two things that I found some peace in. But the other one is I think no matter what you're talking about, whether it's your walk with God or about anything else you can do in life, one of the best ways to mature in something is with experience. The more experience you have, that's going to reinforce and mature you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as I've just had more experience in my walk, there have been so many of these little examples, and we talked about them before, where I can look back a year later and see things that he was doing a year ago that I could have never seen at the time and say, oh, that's why he said do this.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It wasn't what I was thinking it would be, or maybe I didn't understand exactly where he was going with it, but now I can see what he was doing. And I've just started to try to remember that. And even in my prayer time, thank him for for all the things he's doing today that I'm not seeing yet, because there's just a lot of those things that I don't get.
Mm-hmm.
And
Lord, I know you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that's the peace I think of knowing that, hey, I can't see all that's going on.
Yeah.
I can't see the unseen hand, if you will.
That's right.
But I know he's doing it.
and it's not always, and I don't know if this is an important distinction to make or not, but I'm not even, it's not just bad things that were happening a year ago that turned out for good later. Sometimes it was good things that turned out for better and better things that turned out for best or whatever. But there's just been so many things that I've been able to see, oh, that's what he was doing with that. That's pretty cool. And I sure am glad that I followed that tiny little thing he told me to do here. And I'm so glad that he put this tiny little thing in my place here in place here. And you just start to see these things start to add up like a puzzle being put together over time.
There you go.
And you just start to that'll be a perfect sound.
Yeah, there you go. Time's up. Okay, go ahead.
Somebody told me the other day on a podcast that I got cut off in the middle of it. He said, "You hit your word, Max, they shut you up."
Yeah, there you go. I'm done. Ben, you're next.
I like that. The bell rings. It becomes clear.
That's right.
The little things that you saw God's hand in, and you didn't even realize it at the time, and just watching how He moves and does things, and you can. That's really where that trust comes in. Of okay, God, I saw you do it last year. I saw you do it 20 years ago, and that's one of the reasons that one of my favorite sayings is, "There's a couple of things I can tell you about God. He's always been good. He's always been faithful."
Mhm.
If I can get to a place in my life to where I truly believe that, then no matter what life throws at me, I can trust He's always been good. He's always been faithful.
15 more seconds.
So the little things today, I know He's behind it, and He's good and He's faithful.
Yeah. All right. You're up. You're
Is
back. Yeah.
I think you're up now.
Yeah,
You're up a lot now.
I'm the timekeeper.
Wow.
I'm the timekeeper.
Wow.
But now
Yeah,
that's
you're
just
up.
been a real. I'm back up now.
Yeah.
I think that's about all I had on
Buy
that
us the
thought.
time.
but Yeah,
I have peanut.
Yeah.
Can.
it's not. I'm not trying to be
Is
too
it- oh,
talkative. Y'all just chewing too much. It's. I got it.
I haven't had very many.
No.
Mm. But no, I think
There
that's.
you are.
You see where all the jars are over there, don't you? You see anything close to me?
Well, no, I guess
It's-
yeah. I guess that's fair.
I'm trying to decide which one's my favorite, and they're all good.
They are.
Yeah, because I'm partial to peanuts, so I'm chomping away on the
That
peanuts.
chocolate, though,
That was a. Oh,
that's
man,
not
that-
right.
Yeah.
That's not right.
That's wicked.
But I think there's a lot in that, because when you can get to that point where you don't understand it and you don't have to understand it, you just know that whatever he's doing is good, and you
Yeah.
can just sit back and kind of yeah. I was even thinking of something the other day. It's like, well, I could see this being good. I could see that being good. It wasn't like a big decision. It was almost more of a hypothetical,
Right.
mental exercise. But it's like at the end of the day, I'm never going to come anywhere close to knowing what he knows. And
Right.
and
No.
this is a stupidly simple thing too. I keep forgetting that nothing surprises him, right? Like he knew every single thing that was going to happen long before I was even born. It's just every day something might surprise me, but I'm just kind of slowly. I'm never going to approach his knowledge, but everything that happens, I'm just getting another piece of the puzzle to my life revealed to me that he already knew, and he's many, many steps ahead of me in that in that planning process. So I do struggle sometimes between still, and we've talked about this a lot before. I don't want to be lazy to just sit. But there's a difference in worrying and working, though.
Yeah.
I want you to work, but not worry.
That's it.
And
Well, and that's Philippians 4, 6, and 7, what you just described, though, earlier, that, okay, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I can have a peace. And Philippians 4, 6, and 7 says, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your mind and heart in Christ Jesus. That's one of the most precious promises in the Bible. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why so many people live in anxiety, worry. And I know, look, I'm talking to myself too, but I don't have to live in that unless I want to.
Yeah.
I'm the most content when I live in the moment. If I live in the past, I start feeling guilty, or why did I do that? Or I should have known better, or I can't believe I exposed myself like that. If I live in the future, causes me anxiety. What's going to happen? What's going to happen 5 years down the road? Am I going to be alive or whatever? But if I live moment to moment, that's where I find peace, because God said He's forgiven the past. He's going to take care of the future, and you just have to live day by day. If I stay there, now that's a if. That's not reality for me, because I roam those past, present, future all the time. think about, well, I should have did this or I should have done that.
Mm.
Or I should have said that, or about the future. What am I going to do about this truck? And the funny thing about it is I'm still here.
Mm. Mm.
The things I used to worry about that I don't really worry about anymore, I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do anything about the past. I think a lot of times, and for myself too, we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. Like
Mhm.
you said, or y'all said, we need to show grace to ourselves.
Yeah. That's a hard one, and it's a
Agreement.
You good?
Yeah,
Let's
I
let's
gotta
have
have another.
No, we.
Good point. I gotta have chocolate on that one. I
Yeah.
do like that, Kenny. Go ahead. Yeah.
I struggle with that one too because when I try to give myself grace and then I start to I swing too far back and forth on that pendulum. I give myself too much grace and then I don't give myself enough grace, and then I give myself too much grace and not enough, and there's such a balance on that, and having kids helps with, especially kids my kids' age, because they're constantly messing
Yeah.
up. They're and it's, I had one with Reese last night where she said something, not it was in her mind, it wasn't that big a deal,
Mhm.
and I understand that she didn't think it was that big a deal, but she said just the wrong thing at the wrong time to me, and, we were in front of a lot of people at the time, and I about blew up on her, but I said, "No, we'll handle this one in the car." But we got in the car. I was happy that when I said, and I was proud of her, I guess, that I didn't have to say too much. She knew it as soon as I said. I didn't even tell her what she did.
Yeah.
I said, "By the way," I said, "I let it slide this time,
Yeah.
but don't ever pull that again."
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm sorry." She knew what she
Yeah.
done.
She knew.
I said, "Well, that's good," but I'm glad I didn't have to blow up on her because that was coming if she hadn't. No. And then Christian gives me a lot of that too, because he argues with me about every single thing, and it drives me insane. And it's like, kid, I do know a little more than you think I do, but he's the one that gives me the best reflection of myself in God. In that, I
You see yourself in your children.
that's right.
Golly, I know where that
Yeah.
child gets that hard headedness from.
Mhm.
Or I know where that child gets that from.
Yeah.
And it's always the mom.
Yeah. Write this down.
No, I just wrote down something. I got to go back. I think you made a statement that you were the most content. And I think you meant to say when you've eaten 4 jars of pizza.
Well, that was I was. That's what I was want you to write down. When I was going to say that.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You
like
ready?
you said.
Now, here's the thing that I have come to grips because of children. It doesn't matter what they do, you still love them.
Mhm.
And I take that with Christ's love. It doesn't matter what I do. He's disappointed. He might be. I mean, I'm disappointed in some things, but he still loves me.
Yep.
And that hadn't changed.
Yeah.
And if we can take that and use that and keep remembering that, I think life would be a whole lot easier.
Another thing that I've thought about here with in the Christmas season a lot, I was thinking about this last night, is you know we really don't. In our defense, we really can't fully comprehend the gift that Jesus was.
No, not
I
at
mean,
all.
we're not. Our minds aren't built that way. We can't. But
Yeah.
when you think about from God's perspective,
Right.
have you ever given somebody a Christmas gift or seen somebody get a Christmas gift that you knew what like you were super excited to give this gift to them? They're going to be
Yeah.
so pumped. They're going to love this.
Oh,
And they open the box, look at it, say, "LG, thanks," and they throw it to the
Yeah.
side.
What a letdown.
What a letdown. And it's just like,
yeah,
wait a
I
minute.
have. I
Just
How
have.
does that not mean more to you than that? That was the gift I was excited to give
Right.
you.
Yeah,
And,
I have.
yeah, and I think that's got to be the way God sees us receiving Jesus
no
as the
doubt.
gift,
No doubt.
because we don't even. Again, in our defense, we can't. I've tried. You cannot fully comprehend what that was, but we just kind of take it as oh, cool, a nice sweater, and throw it to the side on the pile and say, "Now send me some more money. Where are the toys at?" But from his perspective, it's got to be like that's the only gift you needed, and you
Yeah.
just
Best
kind
gift
of
ever.
yeah. And y'all are just 99% of us. I don't know. But most of us just kind of cool.
Mhm.
But it's so much bigger than that. We just don't take the time to even try to take it in sometimes. And I don't know. From his perspective, it's got to be that you, I just gave you the greatest thing in the world, and you just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you showed no attention to it.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. I get it. I get it.
You need me to say something, Steve?
No, I just didn't know if you wanted to add on.
You didn't know if I wanted another peanut, did you?
By the time we edit out all,
you were going to.
No.
by the time I get done editing out the pauses for peanuts, this is going to be the
Kenny's-
shortest show ever.
Kenny's Jams and Jelly is our sponsor, but I declare we need to contact Southern Supreme
Yeah,
Fruitcake.
Southern Supreme.
Shout out for their
Goodness.
pecans and peanuts, and then also again
Oh, I
Rachel
like that,
Brandon for
double.
giving her. I'm telling you, you've done a hurt. You've put a hurting on them sport yards, Kenny.
The chocolate ain't gonna
Seem to
make
be
it.
closer to you than me.
The chocolate's not gonna make it to the end.
Zimdy has nothing to do with it. I think one of the things too, I wanted to share with you guys today, as I'm preparing for this message on Sunday, and again, looking at Matthew 2, we put emphasis on, oh man, the star, and we want to know, well, what was the star? Was it a conglomeration of two planets? Was it just a star? We put the emphasis on, oh my goodness, we had three people, three magi coming from the east, and who were they, and what were they, and why did they know, and how did they first see the star, and they followed it, and everything. I mean, we put the emphasis on the magi, the star. We want to ask questions about why they're living in the house versus the manger. What's the time frame? Then we talk about Herod, and so many times I think we need to see that no, the main player and the main actor in this whole thing of Matthew 2 is God. God's the one who puts the star in the sky. God's the one who, I love how it says when they got to Jerusalem and they asked Herod, where's the Messiah going to be born, or the king going to be born? And then the Bible tells them that the star led them from there to the house. I don't know of any comet or any conglomeration of planets that can do that, other than God controls the very stars of the sky and the heavens. That's amazing to me. Then, when Herod asked the scribes, where's he going to be born? Again, God was the one who prophesied it 500 years before in the prophet Micah, saying, "Oh, you Bethlehem of Ephratah, from you will come one that will shepherd my country, or shepherd the nations." I mean, what an impressive thing of God doing the prophecies, the stars, and then also, okay, Herod's going to, lose his cool, wants to wipe out every 2-year-old. Here comes God again. Joseph, let's go to Egypt. I mean, and even telling the Magi, go a different route. I mean, God is the one. And so this whole story, Jesus being born, Jesus, son of Abraham, son of David, Jesus, seed of a woman, it is all about God, and it's all about God's glory, and then God's glory being shown in that one day every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. These three Gentiles traveled, I don't know how many miles, thousands maybe, thousands and thousands of miles before there was a plane, before there was a car. And all of a sudden, the first thing they do when they see this baby boy is they bow the knee and worship. And to me, that's really what we're getting at here. It is the worship of God through his son, Jesus Christ. And I love how the book of Matthew starts. It starts with come and see. There's a star.
That's
Magi,
right there.
come and see. But it ends with go and tell. The Great Commission. So I've been having a good time looking at Matthew. We're going to have, I don't know what I don't know how it's going to come together Sunday. I really don't, because I'm one day out from got to have the outline done, and I'm still struggling with what's my outlines going to be.
Well, I like what you said. Sometimes we look at things that don't mean anything. We focus on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
On the star. That has really nothing to do with it. It's like, how many times you heard this one? Jesus turned water than wine.
Yeah.
Alcohol's wrong. We're focused, but you're focusing on the wrong thing. You should be focusing on he is the Christ. Nobody's ever done that.
I had people who thanked me for not going into detail of thank you for not having to explain whether it was wine or it was this or that.
Yeah, it was wine.
He said, too many people, he said, I've heard sermon after sermon after sermon as a Baptist that they go to seed on, well, was it really wine? It doesn't matter.
That's not the point.
He is a transforming Christ. He is
Yeah.
the Messiah that can transform.
Yeah, who is? That's the only miracle I know that somebody turned water than wine. I don't know if
I
anybody
know
else has
of.
done it.
That I know of.
Yeah, so and it probably was
Southern
wine. It
Supreme
doesn't
can
really
turn
matter.
peanuts into goodness.
You got it right here. I've never
They can
seen
turn
that
the plain
before.
peanut into goodness. Although we have
And we're
had shows
focusing on the nut.
where plain peanuts, that was a
See,
showstopper.
that's
Those
I'm gonna
blister
tell you,
fried,
Oh
fried.
yeah,
Oh my goodness!
those things are so
I still
crunchy.
go
It's
back.
yeah, those are good.
yeah, they're good.
Yeah, hey, have you not been down to Bertie lately?
I got a van that will bring them to me.
Well,
Call the man. Ain't B. Call the
Yeah.
man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got a guy that brings them to me. That's what they were brought to me this time. The last time I brought them. Yeah.
Just a little. I mean, we've talked about this a lot too, but we're all can be a little guilty of it. Maybe we're the worst at it. Always looking for the big signs. Always looking for the big things. Like, we always want to see God do the big miraculous things, and He does that sometimes, and those are cool to see when He does. But there was. I mean, real time. I had something this morning. And I was dropping Christian off. I was praying on the way back home, and I wasn't paying attention to my email and stuff. But when I look back at it, I got an email literally probably about the time I said amen. That was a small little, or pretty big answer to one of the things I was praying about. I thought, huh, I didn't even realize he was gonna do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And those are cool when they happen. But it's even cooler, I think, sometimes when you go back and you add up all the little things that he did that just they weren't that big, you know. And the same thing with the story. What made me think of that is the story of the Magi. I mean, it's when you put your focus on what does this mean. Not that it's always a bad thing to look into, you know, some of the deeper meanings in the Bible and things like
Right.
that, but don't maybe need to work on not putting so much thought on the what does this mean as opposed to it. The focus is on God and on Jesus and what He is, not what does the thing He said mean,
Right.
but what He is. And
Or what does gold and frankincense and myrrh? What does that symbolize?
Yeah.
Well, it can symbolize several things, and I think it does represent royalty, and then priestliness, and then also his death, his suffering. But we put so much emphasis on. I mean,
On
I've
that,
heard
yeah.
sermons preached on why gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and I'm kind of like, dude, maybe that's what they had. 3 things they wanted to give. I mean,
Mhm.
I like that there's that behind it, but I don't know that the scripture's necessarily putting the emphasis on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like something hidden in the scriptures. I don't think that.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
We're
that's
trying to find something that's not really there, but it is there.
that's almost more eisegesis,
Yeah.
exegesis.
It's like the greatest miracles that what we want to what we think is with our eyes, the lame walking.
True.
But right here in this room is the greatest miracles that
Three
one
of
of 3 of the greatest miracles ever.
Yeah. Well, you raised
And I think
raised the dead to
spiritually.
life.
Yeah,
Spiritually,
salvation is a miracle in itself.
is
And
the dead to life.
now the faith healers and all that, I'm sure that happens, and I know it does happen in other countries where they have to rely on that kind of stuff. But we're focusing on the wrong thing. We should be focusing on salvation and not
Right.
necessarily.
Well, even in that, we put the emphasis on, oh, look, a healing.
Oh yeah,
Well, no, let's
man,
put the
God
emphasis on
good.
the God who heals.
Mhm.
God
Yeah,
can
and that there you go. I mean, oh, you saw a miracle, God. We had a good one last Sunday. No, you've been having good ones every Sunday.
Yeah.
You just don't recognize it.
Well, and I probably never thought about it in my entire life until I don't know which sermon it was or if it was a podcast or what. Where probably feeding the 5,000 is a good example of that story.
Oh, 5,000.
That'll be a good outtake. But you know, everybody wanted to see the miracles, and when he wasn't doing more of the miracles, then they didn't want anything else to do with it. That was all they were there for.
John 6.
And that's such an easy one to
Mhm.
pass judgment on and say, "Well, that was rotten of them." But we face that every day of our lives. We want to see the big, you know, the big things too. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's not, you know, sometimes the kingdom work we almost look at as boring compared to the earthly things we want. Just like the Pharisees who wanted it. It's so easy to look at them and judge the Pharisees and say, "You wanted a big military leader to overtake the Romans, and
Mhm.
you missed the important thing about Jesus' love and what he really came for." We do that every single
No,
day.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm guilty
it's
of it
so
all.
easy to focus on the things we care about here.
Or what we want.
What we want,
Or
right?
what excites us.
Yeah.
And I think you could almost equate that again. And Matthew 2 seems to be our theme for today, and part of it's because that's where I'm spending the majority of my time right now. But if you compare the people, like I said, the people of Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up. There was word that the Messiah had been born. These 3 Gentiles still went and worshiped. They went to a poor little house. Here's a toddler, and they still bow down and worship this toddler. I mean, to me, that tells me, okay, they weren't there for what they could get. They were there for who he is.
That's it.
Versus the people of Israel, fast forward 30 years from now, and they're the ones that are saying, give us more bread so we don't have to work to eat. Give us, turn these, give us that.
Yeah.
They want that daily bread without any.
Yeah.
And as in that same text, Jesus knew they wanted to make him a king, so it was against that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we ain't out of peanuts, but
I think we're close.
we're getting
Kenny.
the chocolates.
Well, I got to get the.
I know.
We got to make.
I know you got to be full.
No, I'm just trying to even them out.
I'm not sure if I've ever
Yeah.
seen this man full, especially.
That man
Yeah.
was eating some peanuts during this time.
Yeah, I ain't eat
I
all
think
these.
for those that are watching by film, need to go back and let's see who ate the most. Who ate the most?
I'll tell you what I might do.
What's that?
I can go in there and put a ticker on every time.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, do it.
Every
I think
time,
we need-
every time he grabs a handful, I'm gonna take that sound clip of his phone going ding,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna have it.
That's exactly right. 'Cause
I'm having fun
I
with that.
think he set the record, man. That man, I'm telling you, your jaw's got to be hurt.
And that might
So
take me
I
a little
have-
while to edit, but
I know. Hey, with your software won't do that, will it?
what?
Like every time he reaches his hand out, it won't do that. It don't do video like that, does it? Because that would be great. Because that's all you'd have to do is do that hand going from there to there.
I don't know. I might could do that.
I mean, I doubt you can.
I'm sure
I'm
AI.
not concerned about it.
I'm sure AI could do it. But I don't
that
trust
must be
AI.
yours. Is that yours?
No, that's not mine. Mine's right here.
Must
All right.
It's not mine. I don't use that kind
be in
of
the
pencil.
pew.
Bye, everybody.
Well,
Appreciate it.
bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
I just reached for one or two.
Just
You just
start
turned the jar up. I hadn't seen your van around lately.
I know. I gotta get it out and get it back in circulation because I know it misses me. The Hyundai's nice, but I feel like I'm riding under the ground.
Yeah.
And the Kia. I
Oh
feel like
yeah,
I'm-
right on the ground.
Yeah, I feel like I'm up in the air on that Kia.
Also for a chocolate one on that one.
Well, you did a good one. That deserved a shot.
I can match him in
The
pink.
maple?
Those green ones.
Up
Yeah.
the maple.
And they're
Peanut.
pecans, not
Not peanuts.
pecans. Peanuts.
Throw a
Man.
chocolate in there with the maple.
No, I better not.
This is the most ADD show we have ever had. We stopped mid-birth. Grab some more peanuts.
Said it. Mm.
Just start to.
There you go. There you go. All right.
I know how to boil them.
Well, boiling peanuts isn't that complicated.
It can be.
Well, if you go to the gas station, they're just sitting in a crock pot.
They've done something to it.
I mean, I don't think that takes rocket science.